in the spirit of the celebration of our diversity of our communities. We are here not only on behalf of Jean and Ravi, but there are thousands and thousands of people that we are keeping in mind, that we are keeping in our hearts today. Así que les damos la bienvenida a este espacio santuario, a este lugar donde es un pilar para nuestra comunidad migrante en defensa del inmigrante. Hoy tenemos la bendición de estos amigos, de estas amigas, así que les invitamos a que participen de esa bendición. Necesitamos que se nos bendiga, necesitamos esa luz en este día en el cual la memoria de Martin Luther King se conmemora, y también en memoria de todas esas personas que han sido desaparecidas de nuestras comunidades. De manera especial estamos recordando a Jean y a Ravi, quienes están con nosotros en ese espíritu de esperanza, y en ese espíritu de lucha, y en ese espíritu de compasión. Les dejo el piso aquí a nuestras amigas. Amén.
Hello everyone. It's an honor to be here today in this resistance. Don't forget that the indigenous people of this continent, we've been in resistance for over 500 years, but we're still here. We're still fighting. We're still keeping it strong, trying to keep our traditions alive, and trying to tell everyone that we're still here, that despite of the genocide, we're still here. And we're going to open up this circle with honoring the four directions, giving thanks for everything that we have, for everything that we are, and also giving thanks to the Creator and Mother Earth. So if you would like to join us, we're going to face each direction. Thank you.
Gracias. Thank you. Now they are going to close as they opened the circle. Thank you.
Aquí estamos y no nos vamos.
I want you to turn to the person next to you. Vean a la persona que están al lado suyo y díganle a esa persona, gracias por estar aquí. And tell that person, thank you for being here. This is how solidarity looks like. Esto es como la solidaridad. Cómo se siente, cómo se huele. And this is what we are about. Ravi, Jean have taught us well. I have to say that. Ravi and Jean have taught us well. Sabemos que el ataque a uno es un ataque a todos. And we know that injury to one is injury to all. Without further ado, I present to you a friend, an ally who has been working with us, un amigo, un aliado que ha estado trabajando con nosotros, Reverend Ross Shaw.
Good afternoon. I just want to say welcome, 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 welcome to all of you who have braved the cold to come out for this amazing cause on Martin Luther King Day. How appropriate for us to be standing and gathering together at this time during this period in our lives, in our history, when so much oppression and just evil and mean-spiritedness is going on. And yet we come together as a community, we come together as a people united to stand against oppression, to stand against what is tearing our family, our friends and our community and apart. We come together to join together to let the world know that we will not be stopped. We will not be stopped. We will continue this good work. No matter what it looks like, no matter what others say, no matter what others are called, and no matter what people say certain countries are, we are united. All are God's people. We need each other, and we stand together as a community, as a people. And so without further ado, let me proceed further with the program. I want to introduce someone who needs not a lot of introduction to those of you who have been part of the New Sanctuary Coalition movement, those of you who come to the clinics, those of you who have been part of the accompaniments that we share in when we go to accompany our friends, immigrant friends, when they go to their check-ins at ICE. We stand with them, let them know that they are not alone. And one of the main organizers of that is Sarah. So Sarah, will you please come forward? Let's give a big rousing applause for Sarah. Amazing Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you. I prefer organizing than speaking in public. The day before Ravi's check-in, a couple of us sat with him and interviewed him because he was concerned that he would be detained. And what I'm about to present is his second message to us. There are more messages coming. El día antes de que detuviesen a Ravi, él se sentó con nosotros y le entrevistamos y tenemos vídeos de los mensajes que él nos quiso mandar a todos, parte de la comunidad. Hoy vamos a enseñar el segundo mensaje que él nos envió. Va a haber más mensajes. And so, this is Ravi's second message to us. There are more coming. Thank you.
This is Ravi Ragber from the New Sanctuary Coalition. These are different scenarios and different questions that have been asked to me because I am in detention now. I do expect that they will try to get me out of this country very quickly. I have to report to immigration on January 11th. I don't expect to be here more than 2 weeks. The question that was asked to me is, why have I not taken sanctuary? That was not an option for me. And the reason why that was not an option for me is because there were so many of you who have stood up for me. There are so many of you who have come out around me. I hope that you will be now motivated to stop this. And I hope and I pray that you will step out of your comfort zone to create a network of safety, not just in the houses of worship, not just in the space where we call sensitive zone, but create a network of safety around you and around the community, because you refuse to let this agency act. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, you are refusing to let them come in to your community and destroy it and take away those families only because they don't have one piece of paper. Our humanity is not dependent on a piece of paper. We are not documented or undocumented. We are human beings. We are all of this one race. We all bleed the same red blood. We all have the same structure. We may have been of different color, but as the great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said, we should stop judging people on the color of their skin, but more on the character of the person. Right? If we can do that, you will see society changing for the better. Everyone wants to have dignity. Everyone wants to have humanity. Everyone wants to have safety. Everyone wants to be with their family. I choose to walk into this agency. I choose to do that because of you. You were there for me. I need you to be there for others. I need you to understand that this is a moment to mobilize. This is a moment to stop this. I have the privilege of knowing you. I have the privilege of speaking to you. I have the privilege of being in a community with you. And that privilege, you need to now extend that welcoming hand to others. And not just welcoming hand, but also protective hands. So stop this agency. Reach out to the New Sanctuary Coalition. Get involved. Learn who your neighbors are. Welcome your neighbors and treat your neighbors with respect and link arms with your neighbors, because this is what a neighborhood is. Everyone there for each other. Thank you.
Ravi. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to some and present to others the Reverend Kaji Rodosha and Reverend Dr. Donna Scapper. They're serious in the fight. The Reverend, just a little background on them, a little bio. Reverend Kaji is senior pastor at Park Avenue Christian Church in the congregation's 206 years. She is the first woman called to this role. Her maternal grandfather was the Reverend Edwin R. Doc Edmonds, a UCC leader in the civil rights movement who stood with the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as he delivered his I Have a Dream speech at the Lincoln Memorial and worked with him in the formation of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. The Reverend Dr. Donna Scapper, senior minister here at Judson Memorial Church, has pioneered the work with the New York City New Sanctuary movement, opening the doors of Judson as the place where New Sanctuary Coalition calls its home. Let's hear a rousing applause for both of them.
Let us pray. Good and gracious God, you who dwell beyond the captivity of any human name, you whom some call Jesus and others call Christ, you whom some call breath or energy, you whom some call Allah, you who are present now at Chrome Detention Center with Ravi, with Jean, and they know the power of your Spirit with them. You who are present in this place right now with us, we know your power. We know the power of your Spirit, which cannot be captured, but that stays so close to people in trouble and stays so far away from people who cause other people trouble. Draw near now and be with us. Amen. There's a great scripture in the book of Isaiah, and it says this. It says, a bruised reed God will not break, and a flickering light God will not put out. We are bruised reeds today. 2 of our leaders have been taken from us unjustly, absurdly, ridiculously, stupidly. We have been together so many times, wanting ICE to do the right thing. We've given them so many face-saving opportunities to do the right thing, and instead, they have scorned the face of Almighty God.
That's right.
And scorned our faces, and done things that are damaging to children, that are certainly damaging to our movement, although, as Sarah has already said, we're not going away anywhere anytime soon. In fact, we were made for a time like this, and as Ravi so wisely just said to us, we needed his sacrifice to see how ridiculous it is. I hate to say it, but movements often benefit from the suffering of others. And therefore, I will conclude with just a little more scripture. I'm so upset about what might happen tomorrow to Jean Montreville. I'm so upset about what might happen to Ravi in the next coming days that I'm below that place in your belly where you find strength, and I feel very strong there. So yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou anointest my head with oil in the presence of my enemies. And because of that, my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall dwell with us all the days of our life, and also with Ravi, and also with Jean, and also with his broken-hearted children. All the days of our life, goodness and mercy will prevail. That's it.
All right, church, I prepared a few remarks, and I just want to say that I am not allergic to your amens. Let's give the press some amen so they hear our strength. Amen? Amen. Amen. It used to be that I spent my Martin Luther King Jr. birthday days commemorating that time with the path of least resistance. We would clean up parks and do things that were very uncontroversial amongst interfaith leaders. 50 years after Dr. King was murdered by white supremacy and the patriarchy, we understand that the safe road is no longer viable. And we understand that we must resist. As Reverend Ross mentioned, my grandfather stood shoulder to shoulder with Dr. King, stood on the dais for the March on Washington. My mother, Karen Spellman, dodged bullets with King in rural Mississippi. The work of the activist, of the active Christian, the active faith leader, the active person who wants to follow God is unfortunately, but necessarily dangerous. We saw this, didn't we, when we stood up for Ravi Ragbir on Thursday. My friend Ravi, the most peaceful man that many of us knows, as he was carted away in what we believed to be direct retaliation for his activism, for using his voice and not being afraid of ICE.
That's right. That's right.
51 years ago, Dr. King said this: "Here is the true meaning and value of compassion and nonviolence, when it helps us to see the enemy's point of view, to hear his questions, to know his assessment of ourselves." A week ago, last Friday, 4 of us, 4 clergy leaders, learned that ICE considered us their enemy, as they told us that they plot out war games every time they come to meet with us, as if we were pieces on a battlefield, and I quote. Is that right, Reverend Micah? That's right. Well, ICE, I'm here to say that I am not your enemy. I am a loving citizen of the United States, and I will use my voice not in opposition to your humanity, because I believe somewhere in there it must be, but in opposition to the injustice you perpetrate. Our leaders, Ravi, thank you. Our leaders, Ravi and Jean, are not your enemy. You may think that as you plotted out on the battlefield, that you're taking us down by trying to deport them, by taking and isolating our leaders and making them isolated from us, that you are making us weaker. But I'm here to say this: you're only making us stronger. Our government may believe it's okay to set evil policies based on considering places and countries something like a shithole. But I do not believe in a shithole theology. I believe in a God who chooses the side of the oppressed. So, ICE, we stand strong and undeterred. In the spirit of King, we will resist. In the spirit of Mother Harriet, of Sojourner Truth, of the uncelebrated women and men and all people who made the choice to choose courage, we are not afraid of you. We will not stand down. And when history looks back on the choices we all have made, it will be you, the deporters, who will be regarded with shame. But ICE, Field Office Director Tom Decker, Deputy Director Scott Mikowski, you know us, and we call on you to be smart people of faith. You call yourselves Catholics. I sit right here on my neck. I hold a rosary that Ravi was holding when he learned that he was being deported. You can bring Ravi back so that Amy can put this back around his neck. You can make the right choice, and you can start right now.
Is Janae Coaten here? Can she please step forward? Here she is. Janae. This is the former wife and mother of Gene's children. This is his family. They have suffered and suffered beyond belief, and yet they stand. They are an example of what faith and trust in God and what support by your community can do. They are still standing, still going through, but they're here to bring a word. They're here to bring comfort to us as we bring comfort to them. Let us welcome Janae.
I would like to say good afternoon to you guys again. I would like to thank all of you guys who've been with us from the beginning of this nightmare in 2005 when Gene was first detained. I'm glad my mother didn't raise a fool, because I had his passport in my pocket, and the deportation officer said, just bring his passport, we're not gonna deport him. And I said to myself, my mother ain't raised no fool. If I would've gave him that passport, we would've never seen Gene. And I learned in life, out of every bad situation, you have to find some good out of it. I'm glad he was able to be in our life for 13 years. I saw them they tore down my marriage because it made him very depressed, and he just was giving up. And depressed parents raise depressed children, and I refuse to allow our children to suffer. But we show, even though we didn't live in the same home, we were able to co-parent our ass off. Our 19-year-old daughter, she's on a dean's list at Mercy College. Our 14-year-old son that went through brain surgery, his teacher told me, Miss Cawthon, he's gonna need special education because after he get a brain operation, there's no way he's gonna be able to catch up. Not only did he get selected for Brooklyn Tech, he got called for NETS, which is also a specialized school. So I'm not gonna allow that to deteriorate anything. I would like to thank his lawyer, Josh Bar-David, who works his ass off trying to keep Gene here. And another thing I would like to tell y'all, Josiah is a shy kid. You can tell he didn't want to be up here. But when he found out his father was being in immigration detention, because I did not want to tell him because he's shy, and he copes with that every day wondering when is going to be the last time he sees his dad. He got out that laptop. If y'all saw that petition he had at change.org, he has over 10,000 signatures in less than 7 days. So it also gave him a voice. And I would like to let everyone know the fight is not over. Thomas Decker, you will see me. Scott, you will see me because I'm going to be there to support any and every other family that's there going through this same old nightmare. And please don't allow immigration to break your spirit. I watched them put an ankle shackle on Gene's ankle trying to get him to self-deport, but he hung in there. Just imagine going to a water park with your kids and you have a sock on and a shackle on your ankle like it's slavery. We human, we all make mistakes. If Virginia forgave him by giving him a certificate of release, why the hell can't number 45? They sitting there targeting people in 7-Eleven. Are you serious? That makes no sense. We have to stand up together as a unit to show them we will fight this. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. That says a lot. That says it all. And now we're going to bring forth Ravi's wife, Amy, who's going through the same hell that Janae's going through. We want to support her in everything that she's going through. Let her know that we are here for her, that our prayers are with her, that we will stand up against ICE and anybody else that comes up against her and anybody else. We're going to stand together as a community, as one. Let's welcome Amy as she comes forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Kind of hate speaking after Janae. I'm so grateful to see you all here today. I saw Ravi yesterday. I flew down to Miami with our amazing friend, Ria, who took really good care of me. And I was able to be with him for an hour through plexiglass. So dehumanizing, so horrifying, so miserable, but it warmed my heart to be able to see him, to be in a room with him. And when I walked out of the visitation area, I saw Ria. I just said, he's an amazing human being. And I am so fortunate to be with him and to be part of this amazing community. Ravi knows that you are all here. I mean, he would be totally blown away by the number of people here today who are willing to step up and fight against this absolutely abhorrent injustice that we are facing every single day, that Jean is facing, that Ravi's facing, that thousands of people around the country are facing, that we lock up immigrants because of a piece of paper, as Ravi said, not looking at their humanity, not looking at their dignity, not daring to respect people who are willing to stand up and to be part of our communities. That Ravi is not willing to put up with that, and neither am I. So we are all here to fight against this system, against the unfairness, against the racist policies that are driving these detentions and these deportations. Ravi called me this morning, though, and he said, get me out of here. So that's what we're gonna do, folks, right? We are going to get Ravi out of detention, and we are going to get Jean, we hope, out of detention somehow. We hope to get the thousands of people around the country that are locked up by ICE every single day out of detention. We're going to break down those walls, end this inhuman immigration detention system that is entirely driven by profit, and we are going to live in a world where people are treated with dignity and justice prevails. And I just want to thank you again, all of you, for being here, all the folks who organized this today, and our phenomenal legal team and our phenomenal defense team, because we are just moving through all of this challenge because we are being held up by every one of you. So we're really grateful. Thank you. Thank you.
Now I'm going to bring forward Kyle Barron, who is a member of Ravi's defense team. She has some introductions to make. Kyle.
So thank you all for being here. And as Amy and Janae really underscored, this is not the end, but this is the beginning, and we need to fight. And there are many ways that we can do that, many ways people can get involved. We have the legal team doing amazing work. We have all of you here today. But I think for Martin Luther King Day, it's very appropriate to honor those who on Thursday put their bodies on the line in order to try to stop Ravi's detention. And as you saw in that video, it was incredible. So I want to read off the names of the people who continued the tradition of nonviolent civil disobedience on Thursday. So I'm just sticking to first names, but I'd like to honor Jamie, Dorothy, Micah, Will, Jenny, Monica, Elizabeth, James, Silver, Adonis, Juan Carlos, Steve, Carol, Mary Beth, Anne, Alexander, Jumani, and David. And so there are many of you on that list who are here today, and I'm going to invite a couple of you up to speak. So I'd like to invite Councilmember Adonis Rodriguez, who the last time I saw him, he was sitting in front of an ambulance just digging in and resisting incredibly. And so he's council member of the 10th Council District, and turn it over to you. Thank you.
What do we want? Ravi and Jim out. When do we want it? Now. What do we want?
Ravi and Jim out.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Ravi and Jim out.
When do we want it?
Now.
Now then, what do we want?
Ravi and Jim out.
When do we want it?
Now.
And we want New York City to remain in a sanctuary city, right? You know, there's a newspaper who wrote editorial saying that Councilmember and I were arrested because we wanted publicity. It looked like they didn't know that I personally was arrested at the same area in 1991 when George Bush's father invaded Iraq. That I went to the University of Puerto Rico in 1993, fighting to get Navy out of Vieques. It looked to me that they don't know that in 1989, we organized a student movement at CUNY. I'm pretty sure that many of you were supporting us when we took over the 19th campus, fighting against tuition increase, budget cuts, ending marching from the governor's office at the Twin Tower, marching to John Jay College. And we won, persuading Mario Cuomo not to increase tuition and to cut the budget. And we will win this fight. This is not about publicity. This is about like the Matrix. When individuals are offered the two pills, the red or the blue, and as a collective we decide to take the one that allows us to understand that we together are the vehicle of change, that we are together have to continue the legacy of fighting for social justice, from Gandhi to Martin Luther King to Rosa Parks, to the feminist movement, to those people who say we need to rebuild American with the original value. We've been building this nation for the last few centuries with immigrants from all over the world. Only the Native American, they can claim that they were the first one. And even then, they crossed from Alaska to the United States. So here we are fighting for Ravi, for Jim, for Amanda, saying we are all immigrants. So no, New York Post, we didn't get arrested because we wanted publicity. We participate in an action fighting for social justice because this movement is more than Ravi. This movement is more than Jim. This movement is more than Amanda. This movement is about our children and the children to come that say we want to be the best nation in the world, defined for social justice. It's not enough to go to a breakfast and celebrate Martin Luther King, saying that we are so proud what he did. He represented a movement that says segregation is wrong. And still today, we live in a segregated society, having the most segregated educational system in New York City. What should we call it? When more than 95% of inmates in Rikers Island, they are black and Latino. Not because our God decided that they should be the one in Rikers Island, but yet because the quality of mental health services, the quality of education are decided by the zip code when the child is born and raised. So that's what this movement is all about. We've been there many times, fighting against the nuclear weapons, fighting for the freedom of Nelson Mandela, fighting against segregation, fighting against racism. And you know, when I see all those faces, I was telling my daughter, because now she's studying the human rights movement in the whole world, what a best opportunity she had to see. Because what I can tell you is that everything has to be seen and analyzed from the perspective of social class. This movement is about white, black, Asian, Latino coming together, saying we refuse to say that New York City is a sanctuary city when we let ICE, the Homeland Security, in our street. Coordinating how they were holding people, arresting people. That happened last Thursday. I'm not getting into the detail of the arrest. We will discuss it on Wednesday. We had a lawyer, great lawyer, got a great team. In my case, Ron Kubic will be representing me. And he will be on Wednesday at 6 p.m. with Manhattan Borough President, City Controller, Congressman, elected official in the same church that Juan Carlos and Luis Barrio gave the opportunity to North Manhattan to say, welcome Amanda Morales, give her a permanent residence. So that's what we're going to be. And I invite all of you to join us on Wednesday as we're going to be explaining the details of those unjustified arrests that happened on Thursday. Abuse of excessive forces by members of the Homeland Security, NYPD, ICE, and others. We were there, and I got to say, don't fight against the interfaith leaders because they know how to fight. And they were there, and I was so proud. And I was so proud with the lawyers and everyone. Unfortunately, all the members who were arrested, they were 2 and 3 in the same place. You were able to have conversation. Of course, we joined this conversation, but in the case of Giovanni and I, we were separated. But still, again, ladies and gentlemen, this movement is more than Ravi. Seeing Ravi, his wife, and everyone, he can go back to Trinidad and he will be fine. Because when we embrace the value of social justice, you can go back to any corner in the small planet that we share, and we will continue fighting. So this is more than him. This is about us. Are we going back or are we going forward? And we're going forward. So para mí es un honor, un privilegio estar aquí acompañado de ustedes. Ustedes son los rostros bellos y luchadores de personas del movimiento feminista, del movimiento por la igualdad racial, que hemos dicho podemos construir una nación que se parezca a los rostros de cada uno de nosotros. Los detalles del arresto nosotros lo vamos a compartir, lo haremos el miércoles. But don't have any concern about what happened when we were arrested, because the last thing that we could do was being there on Thursday fighting for Ravi. Thank you. Gracias.
And so you may recognize this name from the list that I read before Councilmember Rodriguez spoke. I want to welcome up Councilmember Jumani Williams. He represents the 45th Council District in Brooklyn and is a founding member of the Progressive Caucus and is a member of the Black, Latino, and Asian Caucus. So thank you for...
No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here, no hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here, no hate, no fear. Haitians are welcome here, no hate, no fear. Haitians are welcome here, no hate, no fear. Africans are welcome here, no hate, no fear. Africans are welcome here, no hate, no fear. Everyone is welcome here, no hate, no fear. Everyone is welcome here, no hate, no fear. Everyone is welcome here. I've been looking for the shithole, and I found it in Donald Trump's mouth. That orange man deserves not even a modicum of respect, and I will give him none. He doesn't even respect the office that he holds. Oh man, we're on some crazy times. The President of the United States is doing the devil's work. That's why I'm glad to be around these faith leaders who apparently read from a different book or different books than Donald Trump and his Republican cronies read from. Nothing they do is Christ-like. Nothing they do is like Yeshua ben Yosef, peace be unto his name. Nothing, nothing. I want to say to those who question myself and Councilmember Ydanis Rodriguez and the others that were arrested with us, who question why we were in the streets, who question why we were blocking a van with people in it. If you come out of a building with no lights and no sirens, you are a van with passengers. If you are questioning what we were doing there on Martin Luther King Day, please shut your mouth. Don't let that man's name come out of your lips if you dare question why we were in those streets. We are in the streets because we follow the best tradition of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and so many like him. There are people who want to sanitize who Dr. King was, who want to sanitize his message. But let us be clear, he was an agitator, he was a disruptor, he wanted to disrupt the norm. Do not confuse nonviolence, which I agree with being docile. We are going to disrupt and shut down whatever we need to do until we make people understand we are fighting to uproot the same system that Dr. King was. And I say uproot because I always want to make it clear that the system is working how it was designed to work. The people who are on the bottom were supposed to be there. We don't need to change the system. We need to uproot it and replace it. We in this room are in the best tradition of this country. I get upset when I hear people saying what's happening now is not what America is. Donald Trump and his cronies are not who America are. America was founded on those values. We need to be clear about that. That is the tradition of America. But I thank the Lord that I serve, that there are people in this room who have pushed back from the beginning of this country, and we are the ones who were in the street fighting for Ravi Ragbear. We are the ones who were in the street fighting for Gene. We are the ones who are fighting for the people who are called other in any country. I stand here proud because in that street with those folks was a proud, proud day. It was the closest that I felt to what must have happened when people were fighting decades ago. Nobody here was there. Nobody can say that they are those people that we celebrate. But the feeling of fear that I had and understanding that the morality of what was going on dictated that I continued to move forward within that fear. So I'm here to tell folks, some people say don't be afraid, don't be fearful. Fear is not a spirit of God. But I'm here to tell you, while that is true, I am human and so are you. So fear is a human emotion. But what we need is the courage that God has given us to move forward in that fear. And I feel the courage in this room to make sure we move forward, to make sure we get justice. The only thing that's positive that's come out of the Orange Madness is that he's united a people that he never thought he would unite. And so when you look in this room and see black, white, Jew, Gentile, Muslim, woman, male, LGBT, GNC, when you see everybody united, thank you, Orange Madness, because you brought us in as one. You cannot defeat a people united. You cannot defeat a people walking through that moral arc of justice. You cannot defeat a people who have righteousness on their hand. You cannot defeat a people who are walking in God. You cannot defeat a people who will continue to move forward no matter what is in their way. You cannot defeat a people who have the best traditions of Martin and Malcolm and Cesar Chavez and everyone who came before us. You cannot defeat this people. You can stand in their way, but we will move forward irrespective of what you do because we have righteousness on our side. The minimum that I could do was be in those streets. The minimum that I could do was put my body on the line because I think about the ancestors who came before me. I know we will win because as I said earlier today, I am the descendant of a slave who dreamed of freedom. And as I said today, I think about that person with their coarse hands moving through time, looking me in my face and say, I dreamed of you. And we must move our hands through time, through the next generation and say, I dream of you, I remember you, I see you. We are going to push forward to the day when we've reached the bottom of that arc of justice. From black women in Alabama to the people in Judson Memorial, things are happening in this country in spite of the orange madness, in spite of the Republicans who still try to uplift him. If you are not now denouncing Trump, you are complicit in the evils that are going on. And don't think we're crazy from comparing these evils to past evils throughout history, because we're not. Because I read my history, and mass deportation was the first solution. We are not crazy what's happening on times. And people who believe that they would have stood with Dr. King, but are not standing with us now, when he wrote Fierce Urgency of Now, he was talking about you. Don't quote him if you're not ready to walk the walk that he walked. Don't quote him. Keep his mouth out of your lips. We will not sanitize him. Woo! I just want to thank Ravi's family and Jean's family for the strength and the inspiration that they have given us to continue to move forward. I'm amazed at the strength that you have. Thank you for sharing them with us. People ask me why I was there, because it could have been my mother and father who came here from Grenada. It could have been my brother who was undocumented for some time. It could have been any one of my constituents. And if you wait long enough, it could be you too, because they come for 1 in the morning and they come for the rest at night. We will not be dissuaded. We will continue to move forward on this arc of justice. And lastly, my staff will kill me if I don't mention what I announced just about 2 hours ago. In the sense of moving forward, I have opened an exploratory committee to run for lieutenant governor of the state of New York. We don't need people who respond to the political winds. We need people who make political wins. And we in Judson Memorial, all those people, we stand for Ravi, we stand for Jean. We will not be dissuaded. I guarantee you we will win this fight.
We will win. We will win. We will win. We will win. Yes, we will. Thank you for that inspiration. Wow, amazing. Let's hear it again for our councilman. I now want to bring forth another speaker who is Ben Indugar Kabuye, and he is the local New York City organizer with the Black Alliance for Just Immigration, an organization that educates and engages African American and Black immigrant communities to organize and advocate for racial, social, and economic justice. Ben, please come forward.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Justice. Welcome to Martin Luther King Day. Welcome to Judson Memorial. And I thank you all for coming here, and I thank you all for gathering and making a commitment to a journey that has only begun and that we will see through to the end. I think it's so appropriate that we're here on Martin Luther King Day in the church. I want to bring the spirit of Martin Luther King into this moment. And more importantly, I want to bring the spirit of Claudia Jones, another Trinity immigrant who was deported and threatened with detention years ago in New York City. I want to bring in the spirit of Ella Baker, who taught Martin much of what he knows. And in this spirit, it's important to remember the godmothers of the civil rights movement. And it's important to remember your mother because you call her in strange times. When things are difficult, you look back and when you're having a difficult question, you look back at your mother and you ask her a question because she can inform you how to move forward because she holds the past and the future in her hands. And we are in strange times because we are dealing with administration, with a right-wing administration who has found a way to love Jesus and hate immigrants at the same time. And for those of you who are laughing, who are familiar with the Christian tradition, you see this as strange because Jesus was an immigrant. Jesus was, in fact, a refugee who fled persecution, who had a death warrant on his head before he was born. And so in the reflection of that moment, we know that immigrant rights is the first step and the first journey towards liberation for all. And it is so important as we listen to our godmothers. Again, Claudia Jones, a Trinity immigrant who was deported from this country for her agitation, for her radical commitments that we're trying to remember and re-embrace now, that we're trying to recall and really understand who we are. This is important because we are in a time where the rollback of the civil rights movement is happening through the lens of anti-immigrant policy. As the massive budgets are being rallied and proposed to expand ICE, to expand Border Patrol, to expand the Department of Homeland Security, to expand the Department of Defense, all to attack the foreigner, the immigrant, the unknown, the other. All of this massive effort is going to be paid for not by raising taxes, obviously, but by cutting back the programs that were either created or expanded by the civil rights movement. So this is a 50-year strategy that has only just intensified in the last few months. So it's important for us to understand that Trump is nothing special. Trump is the same sentence we just written with exclamation points. This is just intensification of an old strategy. And as we think about the beloved community Martin Luther King spoke about, this was a community of courage that asked us courageous questions. Are you really concerned with justice? Because it's so easy to be anti-Trump. There are so many people who are anti-Trump who are not pro-immigrant. It's so easy to think that the ground zero of the immigrant fights is in Washington, D.C. and not in New York City. And so we sit here right now in New York City where the #1 arrest category in New York City is for fare beating, for not being able to pay your turnstile. For $2.75, this is a deportable offense. This is in New York City where broken windows policing is used to marginalize and target and create thousands of immigrants who can be deported every year. And when we consider that, who is targeted? We're talking about the most marginalized people in this city. 7 out of 10 of them being black, right? We're talking about our homeless community, queer and trans youth, the people who have to survive and live on our trains every day. And we're living in a city that we can say that we're anti-Trump, that we are against what is happening in D.C., yet every year we arrest 30,000 people a year and subject them to deportation, to excluding them out of their public housing. This is the question we ask, are you for justice? Right. So in this moment, we not only, as we consider and reflect on our fears, we also must take an opportunity to understand that we have an opportunity. Not only does our communities come together, but to really take a courageous stand to transform our society. Right. Because the same money, $60 million being used to arrest 30,000 people a year, you could spend only 30, 40 million to give them free access to train every year. Right? The opportunity for a just society is now, is here, is every day. It's not just in DC, it's in your neighborhood, it's at your community board, it's in your school board, it's down the street, it's in your workplace. So again, as I welcome you to bring in the fight for immigrant rights, not just in DC, but in New York City, I leave you with the question, are you committed to justice? Thank you.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you for the question. Now it gives me great pleasure to invite up some people who work tirelessly, who don't get a lot of rest, at least not here recently. They don't have a day off. They are working around the clock. And I'm talking about Ravi's legal team. I'm inviting up Jessica Rofe, Alina Das, Brittany Castle, and Cody Cutting. They are Ravi's legal defense team. They are working tirelessly to make a difference and get Ravi and Jean and others out. We need to give them a rousing round of applause for their dedication and hard work and how they're using their education to make a difference in this world and in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Jessica Rofe. I'm the Immigrant Defense Fellow at the NYU Immigrant Rights Clinic, and together with the renowned Alina Das, Brittany Castle, and Cody Cutting, we serve as Ravi's legal team. Before we give you a legal update, we just want to thank every single one of you, because it is because of community support, clergy support, family support, the Defense Committee support, that we have been able to do the work that we do as part of our legal representation. We are privileged to represent Ravi. He is somebody that reminds us all of human dignity. He fights tirelessly on behalf of us all, and is a reminder of this quote from Dr. King, that we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. And he tells us that every day. And so we have the honor of working alongside him, and we are going to continue to tirelessly contest his unlawful detention and arrest in the courts, but are dependent on all of you for your continued support and your continued fight. Thank you.
It is such an honor to be here with all of you, and it is such an honor because I know how much Ravi himself would be so inspired by this outshowing of support. My name is Alina Das, as Jessica said. Thank you. Jessica, Brittany, Cody, and I really only represent a fraction of the legal minds and the teams that have been behind working so hard to make sure that people like Ravi, people like Jean, all of the immigrants who are living and working in this country can be here safe and can have their dignity recognized. I have known Ravi since 2008, for 10 years, a decade. He was my friend before he was my client. And he would be the first person to tell all of you that the law will not save us. The law will not save us. It has always been used as a tool for oppression. As his lawyers, we know that if we use the law correctly, if we can find some justice, the law might give us some time for us to save ourselves. So that is what we are trying to do in the courts. That is what we have been trying to do for Ravi for a decade. He is part of my family. I fight for him because he is somebody who I love and I cherish for his work, for his struggle. And I know that what we find in the courts is going to be hard. ICE issued a statement upon his detention stating that he had exhausted all his legal avenues. It was the end of the road. We know that's not true. They know that's not true. We walked into that check-in with several legal cases that were pending in the courts. They knew we wanted due process. We wanted him to have his right to see those cases through, but they took him anyway. And we know, because he is an outspoken leader, because he has done so much for immigrant justice in this country, we know that they know what he represents. So as we continue to fight for his right to stay here, to fight against the injustices, with the latest of many lawsuits that have been filed pending in the courts. We ask each of you to honor him by continuing the greater fight. Because again, it's not the law that's going to save us, it's the movement. And we are glad to be a small part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now we want to invite up Dr. Debbie Alman-Tosser, who's the CEO and founder of Bridging Cultures Group, Inc. Welcome.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace and greetings, my sisters and brothers. I am so honored and humbled to be here today on behalf of the Muslim Community Network, a nonprofit organization sharing space with New Sanctuary Movement right here at Judson Memorial Church. My being here is not just a token of allyship, but I am here because Ravi is my brother who is under the same roof with me and members of my organization in this church. So when something happens to someone in my family, I am outraged. I am outraged to see someone who's been so selfless, giving of himself for others, to become someone who is gone from amongst us. On that very day, when he went to 26 Federal Plaza, my heart was in the bottom of my stomach that entire morning. I didn't know what to make of that feeling, but it didn't feel good. And though Ravi didn't come out, each and every one of you who was there that morning made it loud and clear that no matter what they do to Ravi, we will not let this go unaccounted for. We will stand together. We will demand justice. We will continue to call each and every person who is responsible for what is happening in our country. I say to you, my brothers and sisters, what is happening to us is not just in a vacuum. We have to connect the dots. What we see happening in our country today is white supremacy at its highest level. At its highest level, wanting to abolish and remove people of color. This is not what this nation is about. This is a nation of immigrants coming together, building and forging, and making these United States of America. So what we have built and our ancestors have built, we must protect it. We must not let Donald Trump and his administration take us back to the darkest times of our nation. We must hold them accountable. As we connect the dots, let us not forget about the Muslim ban and the impact that it is having on Muslim nations, countries that are war-torn, countries that are impoverished, countries that are unstable for their families to live in them. And now we are seeing this as being a huger issue than we can ever imagine. But it's really the same issue. It is going after communities of color and trying to make this country white again. It is unfortunate that we have someone in the White House who has this agenda. But we sitting here today, and those of us in the streets every day, are not going to let this go unchecked. We will march, We will show up for each other. We will be there every moment at every issue that happens. And rest assured, my sisters and brothers, the biggest threat to white supremacy and Donald Trump is our solidarity and our unity. We must hold on to our unity and solidarity. We must not take advantage of it and think that there are people already out there doing this work. We must all be out there. We need to get our families out there. We need to get our colleagues out there. We need to get our friends out there. We need to get everyone who is yet to have awoken up and see what our nation has turned into. It is our moral imperative and our social responsibility to take a stand and be active and be heard and be seen to save our nation. Today, as we celebrate Martin Luther King's birthday, can you imagine if he were here with us today, how he would feel to see the work that he and so many sacrificed their lives for? He would be devastated. So today, we need to recommit ourselves to his dream and his legacy to make sure that what he and all of our ancestors built for us continues to grow and thrive. So I ask you, my brothers and sisters, when you leave this church today, share what you have experienced with your friends and your family and your colleagues, and urge them to become socially and politically involved in saving our country. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Assalamu alaikum.
We're going to invite up Josh Bar David, who's going to give us a legal update with regard to Jean. Thank you.
Hi all, I'm Joshua Bar David, Jean's attorney. I'm here for Jean, I'm here for Ravi, I'm here for the hundreds of thousands of people who are in detention right now or facing deportation in our unjust system. To pick up where Alina left off, we can't forget that it was the law that put Dr. King behind bars. It was the law that put Jean behind bars. It was the law that put Ravi behind bars. It was the law that put the 18 brave women and men who put themselves in front of that van on last Thursday behind bars. But it's the people in this room and the people like the people in this room who changed the law and freed those people. And that's why we're here. There has been, unfortunately, negative developments in Jean's case. A motion that we had filed had been denied. We have sought an appeal, an emergency motion for a stay. It is our fear that Jean could be deported as early as tomorrow. So we need to continue to fight both legally and with the activism and the passion of the people in this room to see that Jean's case is resolved successfully and he's freed and he's back home with us, and most importantly, he's back home with his brave family who has fought tirelessly and inspirationally throughout this process. As I said, I'm here for Jean, and I'm here for Ravi, and I'm here for so many other people, but I'm also here because of Jean. I didn't know Jean before I started representing him over 10 years ago, but Jean was the one that introduced me to this room, introduced me to this church, introduced me to this movement. He was the one that, when I started representing him, invited me to come meet the people, many of whom are in this room today, to see what he was a part of. And he inspired me to see that not only was he fighting for himself, but it wasn't just about himself, that he was a part of a larger movement. And so I want to take this opportunity. Ravi had a little bit of advance notice before immigration did what he did, but Gene didn't. They went to his home and they picked him up when he was just returning from work, despite assurances from ICE that he wouldn't do that. And he didn't have the opportunity to speak, to give a message to the people in this room. So I want to take this opportunity to speak for him, just reading his words. This is what Gene said 30 years ago. 30 years ago, he was a 20-year-old man facing deportation, and he was denied the right to an attorney. He was denied the right to present witnesses. He was denied the right to present evidence. And he had an opportunity to plead to the judge for one chance. And I just want to read his words directly from the court transcript. And this is what Gene said, and this is what I'll leave you with. Because when I read these words, you'll see what he did when circumstances gave him the other chance, even though the judge didn't. Your Honor, I have children. I'm missing them growing up. All I want is a second chance, Your Honor. All I want is a second chance to prove myself, not only you, but to me, to the world, that I know I'm a changed person and that I can make it. I can be productive, Your Honor. I work. Before I got detained, I worked for 26 straight hours every weekend to make money to support my family. All I want is a chance, Your Honor, to prove to you, to prove to myself, to my family. I want to be able to support my kids. I want to make right by this world. I want to make right by this country. I can make it. I can work hard. Work hard. I'm just asking you to give me a chance, Your Honor. Give me a chance to prove myself. Please, just give me a chance. Everything that Gene did in the 30 years since that time has proved exactly what he promised the judge, even though that judge didn't give him that chance, but circumstances did. And all we're asking for ICE is to give him that continued chance. If you look at Gene's family, if you look at what he's done, it's an amazing thing, and we need to continue to fight to give him that chance. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing Gene's words with us. Thank you. And now I'm going to bring forward Ria. Ria is a member of Ravi's defense committee, and she is bringing back a message from Ravi. She went to visit Ravi yesterday in Miami detention, and she's coming with words from Ravi. Thank you. Right, Ria.
So this weekend, it was my great privilege to accompany Amy to see Ravi, to update him on all you've been doing, and to hear his jokes about how he's never moved through the TSA as quickly as when he was accompanied by 8 ICE agents. Today, it's my great privilege to share this message from Ravi, this letter from an immigration jail. I'm doing okay. It was a wild and crazy ride. Every moment was uncertain except the certainty that they wanted me gone. I'm still here because of all of you. Thank you. I miss everyone. I feel very heartbroken to see how many of you are suffering for me, how many people were abused during this process. I feel heartbroken that care for someone evokes violence. I want everyone to stand strong. At this moment, we need to speak about changing this system so that no one has to face this type of harm, not just for me, but for all the families who face being torn apart. Until we get reform, we need to repeal the act that criminalizes immigrants, that makes us less than human because of a document. I call upon immigrants, if you need help, reach out to the New Sanctuary Coalition, and they will fight for you as they do for me. And I call upon citizens to answer the call for immigrants who are afraid and who need help standing up. Please accompany them at every step. I know that I will see you all very soon. Thanks, everybody.
And now I'm going to bring before you another group of hard-working folks who are working hard almost day and night, weekends, very little time off, because they believe in this cause and they want to do everything they can do to make a difference. And I'm talking about the New Sanctuary Coalition team. Janice, Sarah, Pastor Juan Carlos, come forward. New Sanctuary, and everybody else that's involved in the New Sanctuary movement, in the team working hard, please come forward. Kitty, Dina, Janice, everybody. They're making it happen. They're making it happen.
Vamos a hacer un poco de ejercicio. Stay standing, come on. Don't go down. As we were being pushed around on Thursday, you know, I always have this thing with my body because my brothers are like 6'4", 6'5". For a Mexican, that's rare, but my brothers are. So I am the tiniest one in the family of 6 brothers. And I wanted to be big, you know. I wanted to be tall. And they kept throwing me to the side, to one side, to the other. And I said, you know, what am I doing here? Where do we stand? And we have to stand somewhere today. So I invite you to lock arms with the person next to you. We are oh, you already did that. Oh my God. Where is Judith and Myrna? Where are they? Part of our team here. And all of us are part of this team. We cannot do it. That's what that was my lesson on Thursday. My fragile body can only take so much. And I walk into the melee or this kind of mismatch football game. I mean, it felt that way. I was being the ball, I was being thrown away from one side to the other. But I realized that we all belong to these bodies, institutional bodies. These institutions have a skin on the game because all of us are in danger. So we need to bring our institutions into the game. All of us have a role to play in this game. And this is the time for us. This is the time for us where we can step in and step up our game. Nuestros cuerpos son frágiles, pequeños, pero somos eslabones de algo más grande. Somos miembros de instituciones, de cuerpos, de corporaciones. Hoy es el día que nuestros cuerpos tienen que ser el camino para que nuestras instituciones la sigan. Sigan ese camino. Traigan todo su peso moral, todo su conocimiento, sabiduría, para hacer el cambio que necesitamos. So we are all a link of this change. So let us keep on standing. Many of you have accompanied our friends. Many of you have witnessed what the machinery of death is doing to our brothers and sisters. Let us make visible. Let us continue to witness. And if we need to put our bodies on the line, let it be so. Remember, slavery was justified by a law. And that law had to be broken. We need to break this law that is breaking our families, our communities, our hearts apart. Thank you for standing with us. Let's keeping on. Gracias por su testimonio, por sus gestos de solidaridad. Necesitamos sacar no solamente a Jean y a Ravi de los centros de detención, sino a todas nuestras familias, seres queridos que están siendo desaparecidos. On behalf of the New Sanctuary Coalition, in the spirit of all that is best in us, we acknowledge you, we honor you, and we thank you for walking with us. Gracias, gracias, gracias.
And I hope after hearing all those speakers and hearing Ravi's voice and Jean's voice that you're wondering, if you aren't already involved, what you can do. So I want to turn this over to Sarah and Janice to tell you in what ways you can get involved.
First, I would like to say something. No amount of oppression, no amount of intimidation from the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, an agency that thrives in the shadows, will deter us from doing our work. The New Sanctuary Coalition unapologetically and publicly stands against detentions and deportations. We believe no one should be deported. I imagine they thought by trying to bury two of our leaders, Ravi and Jean, they didn't realize they were burying two seeds, and the tree that's growing is going to be stronger, more powerful, more empowered. And I invite every single one of you to be a part of this tree, to be a part of this movement. I invite all of us to make alliances with other oppressed groups, our LGBTQ community, people of color, women, Muslim brothers and friends. I promise you, when we work together, we are unstoppable. And this is how you get involved.
I am Janae. I am Amy. We are fighters. I became a fighter because of Ravi. Ravi taught me how to be a warrior. Ravi taught me how to be strong. And he taught me how to act in front of a camera. The New Sanctuary Coalition has a heart in the middle. That's what Jean and Ravi means to New Sanctuary Coalition. I spoke to Ravi yesterday briefly, and with confidence I told him we're gonna bring him home, because that's what he trained us to do, to fight the good fight, and bring loved ones back home to their families. No one deserves this. Detention camps are concentration camps. It's torture. When our loved ones disappear from our homes, we don't know the trauma they go through. It's not easy. I stand with Jean, I stand with Ravi, I stand with all the Jeans, and I stand with all the Ravis. The fight's not gonna be over until we decide it. The people decides when the fight's over, not their scare tactics. This is a war, but this is a war that we win. We call all the shots. The more they try to break us, the stronger we get. We are God's people, and only who makes us can break us. Something my husband said, and it'll always stick with me. Not one man can take me out of a country. It's not over. The sanctuary logo up there is something that we wear proud. And we have the cows. Our homes are being invaded by these animals. We want to put the cows in homes, businesses, church, schools, so they know these are our safe havens. These are our safe spaces. You are not allowed. Back off. If you need it, come to our offices and get it. On Twitter, on Facebook, on our website, we're going to be putting updates on how we can support Ravi and Jean. This fight goes for everyone, all the Ravis, all the Jeans, and it's not over till we say it is.
It's newsanctuarynyc.org.
We just want to say thank you for coming and spending this day with us. It's been quite an event, quite a pleasure to have your presence, and it would not have been the same without you being here. So thank you. We're going to say good evening. Enjoy the rest of your day, and Godspeed with you as we continue in this fight with God's blessings. Amen.